What's up, guys? PDC here for a Smogon tour replay, which is, I would say, what is it, a month old? A little over a month old. This was a game I played in October, but since I didn't upload for 2 months in September, I figured I might as well upload something. And because this is not DPP, and I know a lot of you guys don't play DPP, it is even better a choice to upload. This is from round 5, I believe, or round 4, I don't know, it was either round 4 or round 5, I think it was round 4, of a Smogon tour, XYOU tour. So this is not ORAS, this is XYOU, but, it really, the metagames aren't, well, of course they're actually, they're incredibly different, scratch that, they're a lot different, but it's still XY, and it's pretty recent, and considering a lot of Smogon's metagame, we're still playing XYOU for the last official XYOU tournament, which is the ladder tournament until round 6, so I figured this is might as well before it gets way too late where I can't even post XYOU games anymore. I have to only post ORAS. Might as well post it because it was a good game, and it's a pretty featuring some cool teams too. But we're gonna get right into the replay. I'm gonna be using a Hugo team. It is a Manatee bulky sand team. I got the nice little Hippowdon T-Tar core for the black and white. Although my Hippowdon is Sand Force, it is not Sandstream. Sand Force Hippowdon actually saved my ass this game, and you'll see when. The Manatee is really cool. Manatee wrecks a lot of bulkier teams that are slower, because Skull plus Psychic Rain Dance plus Tail Glow is absolutely devastating. Although Manatee, I wish it got a little stronger special attack, but it's still a pretty cool Pokemon. It paired with Pursuit T-Tar is able to kill Latios, which is probably its biggest counter. I have a Latios of my own, which actually has HP Fire and Earthquake, which is also pretty cool. It's good for catching Heatran and opposing Scizor. Considering how weak my team is to Scizor, I really need all the help I can get. The only actual switch-in I have for opposing Scizor is a Hippowdon, and that loses the Bug Bite Scizor. So I also have HP Fire on my offensive Venusaur as well. And my Scizor is not Mega. It's a regular, bulky, careful Scizor. I didn't have a Steel. And I guess I didn't build a team, but Hugo did. I figured, the only reason he put that there is so I have a better Latios switch in or something like that. Although it does its job, I would suppose. It's a pretty cool Pokemon. You'll see it actually gets me the win. Actually, I shouldn't spoil, but it does a great job in this game. It's really core in this game. Let me just keep it at that. My opponent Stathakis is using a much more creative team. Not to knock Hugo, it's a pretty good team. You don't see a Hippowdon Manatee a lot, or regular Scizor. But he's using a Volcarona kind of a setup, I guess, using Jirachi, Celebi, Starmie, and Volcarona, which is a pretty interesting team. I gotta say, when I first saw this, I thought I was doomed, since that Volcarona absolutely destroys me. But you'll see how it unfolds in the whole game, and we're gonna go right into it. So let's click resume, actually go right into it after 3 minutes of battling on. But Staff is gonna lead with his Rotom Wash, and I'm gonna lead with my Venusaur. I'm just going to go right for the Giga Drain and Mega Evolve. I could have probably doubled out here, expecting him to double himself to something like Jirachi. I could have went to a Powdon and then got Rocks up, but I did want to Mega Evolve as soon as possible, because I realized that, okay, with stuff like Celebi, Starmie, Rotom Wash, T-Tar in a team, Mega Venusaur is going to be pretty cool to have. Even if it is a specially defensive Jirachi, I still would want Mega Venusaur around, because in general, it's one of the best Pokemon in the metagame. But I'm going to go to my Sponge here for physical attacks, which is my Hippowdon. Doesn't give a shit about anything Jirachi can do. I was a little afraid that it could be like a Calm Mind Grass Knot version, but I didn't think it would be after I saw that Giga Drain did that little after from basically a max special attack Venusaur. But I'm going to be able to take the advantage of him body slamming and get my own Rocks up. He sends it as Celebi, and I don't really know what this thing does, so I make a Panic Switch to my Scizor, basically. And I was scared, because right here, it could have went for HP Fire. It could have went for anything, essentially. It could have been any set at any time. But he goes for the Substitute, which does tip me off, but this is probably a Baton Pass set, lacking HP Fire. It probably has something like Psychic or Giga Drain, so it can't really touch Scizor. So I'm just going to go for the knockoff, but it does absolutely nothing to the incoming Rotom. Rotom is really annoying, so I do want to damage immediately. I thought it would break the sub, but then I realized how little attack the Scizor was actually running, which, hint hint, is none. So knockoff's not even going to break the sub. So I have to go to Venusaur here to tank whatever it throws at me, and I really don't want Venusaur getting burned, but it's a thing I have to take. I can't really go to something like, Latios here, because then he's just going to pursue it with his Tyranitar, and Latios is going to do nothing. So being forced to go into Venusaur basically just means I have to Giga Drain. Rotom Wash is going to get out of there. I still do have rocks in the field, so I do have that going for me, but I'm off to a pretty rocky start. It looks like I can't really break his team yet so far, and that's not very good. The Giga Drain is going to do just as little as it did last time, nothing denting Jirachi, and with my burn, this Jirachi's obviously going to beat me one-on-one. I am going to probably just go back to the Powdon here, because honestly, there's no other switch. I guess I could try setting up with it on Scizor, but honestly, it could have Fire Punch, and he can just go to Volcarona or Rotom. Well, actually not Volcarona, because rocks are up. And knockoff plus rocks is going to basically kill any chance of sweeping. So he's probably going to have to go back to Rotom Wash if I go to Scizor. Or a Powdon, which is the case as well. Rotom Wash is really annoying, but luckily, as he switches out of the Jirachi to Rotom Wash, I catch him with a Whirlwind. But I bring out a Starmie, which is possibly even worse. Because as you will see, this is a strong-ass Starmie. He's going to hit me with a Rapid Spin. Because he doesn't want the hazards on his sides, and I saw the Life Orb, and I was like, oh shit, he's gonna be like Rapid Spin, Hydro Pump, Analytic, Ice Beam, Psy Shock shit, and that scared me a bit, because I don't really have anything to beat a Starmie. A Venusaur can, but with that Burn and Rocks on my side, an Analytic Hydro Pump is probably gonna 2-hit KO me. I go over to Draco Meteor and get a lucky crit on especially defensive Jirachi. That helps me break the core, at least I thought it would at the time. I do have Earthquake Latios, but I don't want it getting paralyzed, because I might need it for later. He's going to go right ahead and Body Slam my Hippowdon again, and this time he does get the Paralysis. It doesn't really matter, because Hippowdon's already slower than every single Pokemon on his team. So I'm not really that bothered by it. I'm just going to set up my rocks here again if I don't get paralyzed. But he does go back to a Starmie, which at this point I realize, alright, it probably is Analytic Life Orb Starmie, so I'm really scared. Do I really have anything to tank the Hydro Pump? I can't go T-Tar here to pursue it, and even if I do, I'm going to have to pursue it after something is dead, or unless I really play well against this thing. I go to my Latios, which does manage to survive a Hydro Pump, but basically it's dead now. Stath is going to go for a Suicide Rapid Spin, however, and I'm going to be able to Draco Meteor the Starmie and take it down with me. We both die, but at least the Starmie is gone. I am going to be able to keep hazards on the field. I don't know if that was necessarily the right play for Stath, because honestly, killing his spinner and keeping a Powdon above 90% against his team with stuff like T-Tar and Jirachi on it isn't really, it's not really the best way to prevent Stealth Rocks. But basically, I'm just going to go out to my Venusaur as he goes out to his Rotom Wash. I figure, alright, he's probably going to go out to something like his Jirachi or something like that again to beat Venusaur. But instead, he goes to his Volcarona. Stath saw this as a rather easy way to set up. I do realize that I can Sludge Bomb it, however, but it does basically 0 damage, and that's not good. He goes for a Fire Blast, and he goes for the kill, and it does indeed take my Venusaur out, which I was very nervous about at the time. I didn't know if I was going to be able to, break his team or be able to have a counter for Rotom Wash now, because honestly, looking at my team, I really don't have a successful way to beat it. Now, I am able to kill the Volcarona, which gave me a bit of hope at the time. I realized that, wait a minute, this is a winnable game. This was a Pursuit Mine game, and I won the 50-50, figuring that he was going to stay in, expecting to pursue him because of my dire need to kill a possible sweep from Volcarona. But I'm just going to go out to a Powdon as Megatar, which, yes, it turns out to be Megatar. Now I realize, at this point, oh, so that's why he didn't double, T-Tar and Pursuit my Latios, because he didn't have Pursuit. But really, it's not going to come down to anything too serious, as this is where I said the Sand Force comes in to save me, as I hit him with a strong Earthquake. Without that Sand Force boost, this would have been probably game right there. Scizor has basically no attack, so it's not going to be able to kill the T-Tar with Bullet Punch, and it probably would have been at 40% here. So, my 0 attack Scizor would not have been able to win this fight, because he probably would have killed me. I mean, that would have probably been it. That would have probably been game there. Unless he went for the same Crunch move again. But regardless, the reason he goes for Crunch there is he thinks I'm going to go to my Scizor to take the Ice Punch. Which I figured I didn't really need a Powdon. I'm like, alright, let's be honest here. Even though it's good for Jirachi, when I really think about it, I don't really need a Powdon. So I'm just going to let it die. And he does go for the Crunch, which was, I wouldn't really say a misplay on his part, but I did outplay him in that aspect. He's just going to come in with his Celebi and kill the Powdon, and I'm going to go ahead and go with my Scarf Tar. A Scarf Crunch is really deadly against his team at this point, And I know that Rotom Wash can tank one, but I really didn't have that many other options here. I could have went for the Stone Edge, which might have been a little bit smarter, but I just went for the Crunch because honestly, well, I kind of need to break something. I had the hope for a bit of drops or a crit or something. Now, I do get the defense drop, which is really crucial here. I figure he's going to want to switch out, which is why I go to my Manaphy. He realizes that he really can't sacrifice the Rotom, so he does go out to his Jirachi. He basically was sacrificing his Jirachi here. I'll admit, crunching again might have been a good play, but if I remember correctly, there was a roll that was a little working against me, even at -1. And Manaphy, although it is a really cool Pokemon, I don't really see it sweeping in this aspect. He goes into his Celebi, and I was kind of nervous that this Celebi would be able to beat my Manaphy, and I just went for it. I didn't have anything to switch to. I could have went, I'll admit it, I could have went to Scizor here, but as you can see, he predicts me to do that, and he goes for the sub. And this is where it gets kind of, oh, wait a minute, can Manaphy actually beat the Celebi? My Scald in the Rain at +3 will indeed break his substitute, as it would with basically any Celebi. There's no way in hell, even Special Defensive Celebi, was not having its sub broken by that. But he Giga Drains, and it does a lot more than I expected. And Scald does a lot more than I expected, with 61% in damage. However, his Giga Drain is managed to get him to a point in health where he is going to be able to beat me, unless I get a very high roll or a crit or something of that order. I go for a Scald again, and I get a slightly higher roll plus a burn, but his Giga Drain is going to be able to heal him up to the range where he is not going to die from the burn. Now, at this point, I'll admit, I started getting a little worried. Even though it looked like I was in a good aspect of the situation, I was still kind of, you know, like, well, what if that's like Fire Punch Jirachi? What if he manages to beat me with that? What if Rotom single-handedly just destroys me? So I have to go to Scizor here. There's really no other option for me. I have to go for a Swords Dance here, because honestly, there's no other way. I have to go for a Swords Dance sweep. I was kind of underestimating Scizor in that aspect. This was honestly a pretty clear-cut win for me, as long as this was SD Scizor, which it was. So actually, maybe I shouldn't have been so worried here, but I thought that Rotom could have been able to beat me. As you can tell, this is getting to, he has the Healing Wish, sacrifices Jirachi to go into his Rotom. I'm at +2, but I remembered that my knockoff, you know, it didn't break his sub, because this is a very physically defensive Rotom Wash. I just am going to go straight for the knockoff here, because I do want to get rid of his healing ability. Although he can still Pain Split, I don't see him doing that very often. I thought I was going to be losing this fight here because I wasn't going to be able to tank repeated Volt Switches / Hydro Pumps or whatever he chooses to do. But I am able to do that, even with the burn. I thought that Hydro Pump plus the burn would have been able to kill me, but I am able to roost it off, which I think is really key to me winning here. I realize that I am still in a little trouble. I have to play this really safely to win. He's going to Volt Switch out to his Celebi, maybe trying to outstall my Roost or get me the Bullet Punch in order to heal the Rotom Wash up, which I do, as I don't want his Celebi to be getting healthy again. That's the last thing I want. But I realize at this point that I can indeed win, even in the circumstances that I am in now. I just am going to go for the safer place here. I don't really need to make any risks. Since the Rotom lacks leftovers, it's not going to be healing up anytime soon. And even though Bullet Punch only does, you know, barely 6%, it's, you know, a little chip damage is good here and there. And I am probably going to need that to really win in the end. I'm basically just going to be in a game here where it's Roost and then maybe sweep later with Tyranitar. But first, I need to actually get the Rotom Wash very low and in crunch range, that was my goal here. I have to get this Rotom Wash low enough so that I manage to kill it with crunch and sweep it with that. Because that was probably the safest way to win in the end. I wasn't just going to bank on a Scizor sweep, especially with the possibility of crit me being burned and being very weak and having rather weak moves. But I do manage to get the Celebi dead here, so now it's just Rotom Wash versus my +2 Scizor and Tyranitar. And as you can tell, my Scizor is going to be able to basically weaken his Rotom Wash to the point where it doesn't really matter anymore. This guy's going to be dead sooner or later. I'm just going to be roosting up a bit so I am able to knock him off a couple times so that I am able to weaken him for the Tyranitar Crunch, as I don't want to risk a Stone Edge or anything like that. There's really no point in trying to play this, you know, fast. The slower the better. If you think out your moves, you're probably going to win in the end, and that's what I do here. I basically need to knock him off eventually. I probably should have. You shouldn't risk the crit. This is I was honestly like, all right, wait, should I risk the crit or should I roost here or anything like that? I went for the Swords Dance because I do want to get that Rotom Wash dead as quick as possible. I want to get some damage on it so that T-Tar is not going to have any struggle to kill it. He's going to keep going for the Volt Switch. I don't know if he ran enough Hydro Pumps here or not. I don't know if he used it enough times to. He might have, but I don't believe he did. I'm not sure. I wasn't counting. But judging for how he's just going for Volt Switch over and over again, it does look like he has, and this is pretty much the game here. There's really not much else that's going to go on, so I am going to speed this up a bit. I'm pretty sure I talked this subject to death. He's just going to keep Volt Switching, and I'm just going to finally knock him off 2 more times, and that's going to be the end of his Rotom Wash. He's going to Hydro Pump me one last time, hoping maybe to get me down to a lower HP, but I just keep knocking off, and this is the game. This is the end. He's going to be able to kill my Scizor. I let him do that. I probably should have Bullet Punch there. I don't know why I didn't, but regardless, Crunch is going to kill this game. So, whatever. That was pretty much the game. Good game, Stathakis. I'm sorry I did hacks you a bit. That was pretty unlucky on your part for, stuff like what was it? What did I hacks you on? I know I hacks you on something. I hacks you, what did I get? I forget. I got the burn on Celebi, which was really pretty annoying. I'm sorry about that. I got the crit on Jirachi, and I believe there was something else that was a bit bigger, but I don't remember it. I'm sorry about for the win based on hacks. But regardless, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe. And please thank your boy Hugo for this amazing team. This is actually a really good team. I still use it. It's actually really cool. It works in ORAS too, surprisingly. So, yeah. It's pretty good. It's not like my favorite Hugo team. It's not anybody's favorite Hugo team, actually. I see when I played this team in, like, OLT, people were like, what? Is he actually using the team with a Powdon, Scizor, and Tyranitar? What the hell is he using? But regardless, it's a really solid team. But that's where I'm going to cut the video off. Went on for 17 minutes. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Please subscribe, rate, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And more tour replays to come, as I do have a lot on backload. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.